I smooth the skirt of my emerald dress one more time and push through the shining doors of Adeline's on the bay. Everything gleams. Crystal chandeliers scatter tiny rainbows across linen white tablecloths. Polished silverware throws back the light like a row of mirrored soldiers. Floor-to-ceiling glass frames the San Francisco skyline as dust deepens into ink. It's the kind of restaurant where the least expensive wine could wipe out my grocery budget for the month. For my parents' 35th anniversary, nothing less would do. I even gave in and wore the heels that bite my toes with every step because tonight is supposed to matter. The invitation said formal attire required, so I complied. Mom spots me for silver threads woven through her hair, swept into an elegant twist that pairs perfectly with her burgundy dress. She glides across marble, pearls winking at her ears. "Skylar, darling, you made it." She leans in with a cloud of perfume and an air kiss that lands somewhere near my cheek. "You'll be over there, sweetheart, with the little ones?" I freeze half a step into the room. My eyes follow her hand toward a small round table tucked in the far corner. Owen, 9, and Riley, 7, are bent over children's menus, coloring in cartoon crabs with wild concentration. My stomach plummets. Heat rushes up my throat. My fingers tremble. I turn back toward the center of the private dining room. The main table stretches like a ship's deck, an expanse of fine china, crystal stems, and tall silver candlesticks. Every adult has a seat there. Evan murmurs something to his wife, Melissa. Camille bursts into laughter at her husband's joke. Aunt Lorraine and Uncle Robert share a whispered aside. Cousins Jennifer and David sit side by side. Even Stephanie, who married last spring, is there with her new husband, both of them glowing and central. Only me, unmarried, unaccompanied, has been parked in the corner with crayons. There must be a mistake. I hear myself say, too quietly for this echoing room, "Mom, I don't understand." She pats my arm as if smoothing the hair of a 12-year-old. "We needed someone to balance out the children's table. Keep an eye on them, will you?" A memory snaps into place. Thanksgiving 5 years ago, when I'd brought Alex, we sat at the adult table then, sipping wine, weighing in on politics and property values. With a man beside me, no one questioned whether I belonged, but tonight, without a ring, my status has been quietly revised. I'm 29. I own a business. I have spent years trying to earn their approval, stacking achievements to counter their disappointment about my not yet married life. But this public demotion feels like a line crossed. A server appears, all politeness and neutral gaze, and offers me a bright laminated menu topped with dancing cartoon lobsters. "For the young lady," he says, not quite looking at me. Owen glances up, blue crayon in hand. "Want to borrow my green? It's the best for seaweed." I fold the menu in half and set it down. "I need to make a quick business call," I say, grasping at the first exit I can find. Mom's smile stiffens. "Really, Skylar?" During a family celebration? From the main table, Dad adjusts his bow tie, slightly off-center against his perfect white shirt. "Your work can wait for one evening, Princess." Princess. The nickname that once felt warm suddenly sounds like a reminder of my place. My siblings exchange that practice look. The one that says, "Don't make a scene," while pretending not to see me flushing. It hits me all at once. This isn't about chairs or angles or table assignments. It's about who they think I am and am not. 6 years building my design studio from a blank page. Winning a $3.2 million renovation over firms twice my size. That recent Architectural Digest feature calling my work boundary-pushing yet timeless. None of it counts if there's no husband beside me to verify my adulthood. "I'll be right back," I say, and slip down the hallway toward the restrooms before anyone can pin me in place. My hands shake as I pull out my phone. I text Elena. Change of plans. "I'm celebrating tonight." Just not here. Her reply lands almost immediately. What happened? Are you okay? They put me at the kids' table with crayons. My thumbs are sure even as my pulse climbs. I'm not staying. 3 dots. Gone, then back, leave. That's not a seating. Error, that's a message. She's right. Standing in the quiet corridor between abstract art and tasteful sconces, I realize I have a clear choice: go back and swallow it, or walk out and accept the fallout. A highlight reel flickers. My summa cum laude graduation, met with a warning not to miss my chance at a family. Buying my Oakland loft, greeted with, don't wait too long. Single women living alone can be targets. The pattern is old. I am old enough to stop complying. I return to the corner table and pick up my purse. I've been called away, I tell Owen and Riley. Owen's face falls. But you just got here. I squeeze his shoulder. I know, buddy. I'll make it up to you. Conversations at the main table roll on as if I were scenery. Mom stands halfway, alarm blossoming on her face. Skylar, don't you dare. I keep walking back straight, chin up past candlelight and stemware, past the shimmering chandeliers and polished marble. Behind me, whispers spark like static. For the first time in 29 years, one choose myself. Outside beneath the burgundy awning, the bay air is cool and blessedly indifferent. The mater orders a car. My phone rattles in my hand. Mom, Dad, Evan then quiets as I mute them all. Elena again, where should I meet you? I glance at the windows of Aveline's, gold and glittering like a postcard. Somewhere inside, there's an empty chair at a corner table and a story forming about my selfishness. Let them write it. Meet me at Firefly, I type. I'm celebrating something real. Firefly in the mission feels like a parallel. Universe warm Edison glow instead of chandelier glare. Exposed brick instead of marble. Vintage posters and 2 tattooed bartenders who pour generously and don't ask questions. No one here cares about my ring finger. The door flies open and Elena barrels in, curls wind tossed from the evening air. She zeroes in on me and crosses the room like a closing argument. Her amber eyes narrow as she slides into the booth. Tell me everything, she says, shedding her scarf. Every last detail. And I do. The glitter, the air kiss, the tucked away table with cartoon lobsters, the crayon. You should have seen their faces when I left, I say, twisting the napkin into a tight rope. Like I'd broken some sacred oath. Over a seating chart. This isn't about tonight, Elena says gently but firmly. This is about a pattern. She's right, and I hate how much I need to hear it. The kids' table is just the latest exhibit. Remember the Callaway presentation? I ask. Mom introduced me to her friends as still figuring things out. I'd been running my firm for 6 years. Elena's jaw works. And last Christmas, your dad praised Evan's stable accounting career like he'd cured disease. Then called your work that degrading thing. The waiter appears, kind-eyed and unhurried. Rough night. Independence Day, Elena replies, ordering a Cabernet. When I bought the loft, I continue after he leaves, Mom said. Don't wait too long to find someone. Single women living alone. I mimic her tone without meaning to. As if a husband is a security system. Elena snorts. As if your safety depends on a +1. Dad called my business a nice hobby until you settle down. The memory burns even after 3 years. Even after the Architectural Digest feature, he said. Impressive they let someone your age handle something so big. The wine arrives. I take a long sip and feel it unfurl warmth along my rib cage. Every win gets a footnote, I say. Every milestone comes with a reminder that it doesn't count the way a ring would. That's their broken yardstick, Elena says, reaching for my hand. Not yours. I nod, the truth of it settling like a weight and a relief at once. I've spent my adult life trying to hit their target, the right grades, the right clients, the right property, hoping they'd finally see me. My phone buzzes, Mom, Dad, Evan, Camille, in relentless rotation. I silence each one. Every holiday, I continue. They ask who I'm dating, never what I'm designing. I'm a clock, not a person. Last Thanksgiving, Melissa asked if I'd thought about freezing my eggs. At the table, your sister-in-law, Elena says carefully, has talents. Tact isn't one. At Jason's wedding, I add, Mom sat me with her friends' single sons instead of my cousins. Networking, she said, the orthodontist with the toupee. Elena winces. Or the podiatrist who discussed foot fungus during dessert. Both, I say, laughing despite myself. My phone lights again. Camille, then Evan, then Dad. Why am I still trying to prove myself to them? I ask, because they're family. Elena says, we're wired for approval. I stare at the candle between us. Their approval isn't worth it if the price is my self-respect. I say it out loud, and it feels like opening a window. I remember last Christmas, my cousin Stephen toasted endlessly for his brand new marriage, while his failing landscaping business never came up. Meanwhile, my best year to date received a nod and a sideways comment about workaholism. The pattern crystallizes. My phone will not stop. 57 missed calls, 23 texts. I power it off and watch the screen go blank. No achievement is enough without a spouse, I say. I'm done trying. Elena tilts her head. Do you think they know how much it hurts? The question catches me off guard. I sift through years, Mom marrying young, building her life around home and schedule. Dad, abandoned by his father at 12, living and dying by the idea of a complete family. They aren't villains. They believe they're helping by pushing me toward their version of safe. That's what makes it dangerous, I say after a beat. They think they're right, which means they'll never stop. They can't understand success that doesn't mirror their blueprint, Elena says. Your independence scans as a threat. My anger is starting to make room for something else, I admit. Sadness for the relationship we might have had. Elena refills our glasses and leans back. So, what now? Thanksgiving? Birthdays? Are you going to opt out? I can't keep pretending this is fine, I say. I wouldn't let a client accept this kind of treatment from a contractor. Why would I accept it from my parents? If you need space, my guest room is yours, she says. And consider therapy. A neutral place to plan. I nod. The screen of my powered-off phone reflects the candlelight. Even now, I can feel the messages multiplying, overreacting, selfish, ungrateful, like a chorus offstage. But the noise is faint compared to this quiet decision. I will protect my peace. We split the check, and the night loosens its hold. On the walk back to my car, San Francisco hums like it always does, streetlights blinking. Laughter rising from open doorways, a saxophone threading through the chill. In my professional world, people call me for my ideas, my eye, my judgment. Only with my family and my cast, again and again, as unfinished dot at home. Friends gather at my dining table because Elena texted a small cavalry. They arrive with dessert and irreverence and unshakable loyalty. We raise our glasses. To being seen, Elena says. To being valued for who you are, not who anyone needs you to be. I sleep through the night for the first time in weeks. Morning drags me up with a vibrating phone. Trying to sprint off the nightstand. My screen is a wall of notifications. 107 unread messages. 83 missed calls. It all rushes back, the chandeliers, the corner table, the cool air under the awning. The first step away, I prop myself against the headboard and start scrolling. Mom, call me this instant, Skylar Elizabeth. Dad, you embarrassed this entire family. Evan, way to ruin their anniversary. Camille, you made mom cry. Happy now? The words blur, tantrum, overreacted, selfish, childish. The old reflex, the automatic apology rises in my throat. Then a new notification. Aunt Lorraine, 2:14 a.m. You did nothing wrong. That seating choice was cruel. I'm proud of you, I blink. Read it again. A third time. The tight band around my chest eases. The peacekeeper of our family is on my side. I scroll back through the family thread, slower now, using the same eye I use with clients who say, modern, but bring me photos of crown molding. Mom to Camille, your sister had a tantrum over nothing. Dad to Uncle Robert, she overreacted to a simple seating arrangement. Evan to a cousin, stormed out over nothing, typical drama. The phrases line up like someone emailed a script. They're controlling the narrative. If everyone says it was nothing, then I must be unreasonable. But Aunt Loren's text fractures that story. Not everyone is buying in. Design brain kicks in. I start categorizing guilt. You made your mother cry. Obligation, after everything we've done for you. Minimization, it was just seating. It's a blueprint of their tactics, and naming it steals some of its power. A new message from my parents arrives. You clearly overreacted, but we're willing to overlook it if you apologize. Sunday brunch, 11 6 months ago, I would have drafted an apology that second, begging for peace regardless of fault. Today, I see the assumption threaded through their words. Our forgiveness is your prize. I type, delete, type again. Finally, I send, I need space. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Mom replies instantly. You don't take space from family. Dad follows. We expect you Sunday. Period. I silence the conversation, open my laptop, and turn to a client deck due in 3 days. My work deserves the part of me that isn't always braced for impact. 2 days pass in a whirl of swatches and renderings, the momentum of competence. When the doorbell rings Thursday evening, I smile, expecting pad thai. It isn't food. It's my parents. Mom breezes in without waiting, coat still on, mouth in a determined line. Dad steps past me and looks around my living room, high ceilings, wall of windows on Lake Merritt, trophies of my work displayed with modest pride. This has gone on long enough, Mom says. You're acting like a child, which is why we seated you with the children. I close the door and stand straighter. Their words feel old. I feel new. Respect goes both ways, I say. You sat me with kids because I'm not married. That was a choice. You're making a mountain out of a molehill, Mom says, flicking her hand as if shooing a fly. This isn't about chairs, I answered, gesturing to the framed magazine page they never mentioned. It's about how you treat me. Dad's jaw tightens. This attitude will keep you out of future family events. Once, that would have broken me. Now, I recognize it as another lever. If that's the price of having boundaries, I say quietly, I'll pay it. They leave soon after, stunned into silence. I close the door and wait for the flood of guilt. It doesn't come. Only a lightness, as if I've set down luggage I didn't realize I was carrying. The phone rings 20 minutes later. Elena, your mom called me. I'm bringing takeout. Wine or whiskey? By the time she arrives, Aunt Loren's voice is coming through my building intercom. Your mother's upset, she says, but you did the right thing. Boundaries aren't rejection. They're self-respect. I sink onto the couch. I feel relieved, and also like I'm grieving the relationship I wanted. You're not rejecting family, Elena says, unpacking noodles and curry. You're rejecting being diminished. My phone buzzes again. Owen, miss you. When are you coming over? My heart tightens. The kids shouldn't pay for this, I tell Elena. I text him back. Miss you too. Soon. How's the science project? Nothing about this has to be all or nothing. Some connections can be preserved with care. Others need distance. That night, as friends fill my kitchen with laughter and the scent of basil and lime, I let myself believe what my chest already knows. I am allowed to choose myself and still love my family. Both can be true. A week passes before the first pang of unease returns. 23 unread messages glow on my phone screen, Mom, Dad, Camille, even Evan. Each one a variation of the same theme. Family doesn't ignore family. You owe us an apology. Stop being dramatic, Dot. I stare at the notifications the way I'd study a blueprint, seeing not the chaos, but the pattern beneath it. They don't want reconciliation. They want control restored. I scroll to Aunt Loren's message, the single thread of warmth among the noise. Proud of you, sweetheart. Change shakes people. Give them time. Her quiet faith steadies me. She's right, change doesn't happen with one walkout. It's a renovation of foundations built decades ago. And I know something about rebuilding from the ground up. By the second week, I channel the same discipline that built my business into restructuring my boundaries. I start with a physical my environment. Fresh flowers on my dining table, lavender candles, no more checking messages before breakfast. Then the emotional, designing my own system for contact. New rule number 1. I call them only on Tuesdays and Thursdays, between 7 and 7:30 p.m. If they miss that window, they wait. Rule number 2, no responding to guilt tactics. Rule number 3, if they cross the line, I hang up. No explanations required. When Elena hears about it, she grins like a proud coach. You're creating a blueprint for emotional architecture, she says. Strong, simple, sustainable. She's not wrong. I've started documenting everything, every conversation, every phrase that sparks guilt, every attempt to reframe my choices as rebellion. My therapist, Dr. Lambert, calls it data collection. Treating the emotional manipulation like a design flaw instead of a personal failure helps me detach. Patterns reveal themselves when they're written down. By the 3rd week, something shifts. The panic that used to rise whenever my phone buzzed doesn't come anymore. Instead, there's distance, healthy, deliberate distance. I've even started sleeping through the night again. Then Thursday arrives, and with it, a text from Evan. Mom and Dad expect you at Owen's birthday this weekend. They say you owe the family an apology first. The message lands like a pebble in a pond small, but rippling through everything. I set my phone down and breathe. This is a test, not of love, but of boundaries. If I give in, everything I've built collapses. But if I refuse, Owen gets caught in the crossfire. The choice isn't simple anymore. It's layered like the textures I choose for a client space, all contrast and consequence. That night, I write in my notebook. Preserve what's worth preserving. Protect what's sacred. Don't let guilt become the currency of love. By morning, I know what I'll do. I'll visit Owen the day before his party, quietly, privately, a gift between us. No audience required. Friday comes wrapped in bright skies. I park in Evan's driveway, the comic book wrapped package with its oversized blue bow sitting on the passenger seat. My palms sweat slightly, though I've rehearsed this meeting for days. Then I see them. Mom's silver Cadillac, Dad's black Lincoln, both parked front and center like exclamation points. A trap. For a heartbeat, I consider driving away. But Owen's face flashes in my mind, the way his eyes lit up when he handed me that crayon weeks ago. I promised I'd make it up to him. I won't break that promise because of their games. I grip the steering wheel. You prepared for this. The words echo like a mantra. When I reach the porch, the door swings open before I can knock. Mom stands there, smiling the kind of smile that cuts more than it welcomes. Skylar, perfect timing. We thought it would be lovely to have everyone together. Everyone, as it turns out, means everyone. The living room teems with Thompson's uncles, aunts, cousins, even Grandma in her velvet armchair like a queen presiding over judgment. My father sits front and center, glass of scotch in hand, his posture already that of a man waiting to deliver a verdict. Evan lingers near the wall, avoiding my eyes. Camille blocks the hall to the back door, her stance uncomfortably deliberate. It's not a coincidence. It's an ambush. Owen spots me and bolts across the room, oblivious to the adult tension crackling like live wire. Aunt Skylar, you came. I kneel, hugging him tight, anchoring myself in his innocence. Of course, buddy. Happy early birthday. I brought something special for you. He bounces on his toes. Can I open it now? Before I can answer, Mom's voice slices through the air. Before presents, Skylar has something she'd like to say to us all. I straighten slowly, keeping my tone even. Actually, I don't. My father rises. We've been patient with this little tantrum of yours, but it's time you showed some respect. Every gaze in the room pins me in place, waiting for surrender. This is exactly how they planned it. Public pressure, family unity, moral superiority. I came to celebrate Owen. I say, steady as marble. Not to perform. Camille steps forward, her voice sweet enough to rot fruit. Can't you just apologize and move on? We're family. There's nothing to apologize for, I reply. The rehearsed words feel real now, each syllable an act of defiance. I deserve respect. Mom's composure fractures. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us. With pride? I won't argue in front of a child, I say, voice rising a fraction. This isn't the time or the place. From the corner of my eye, I see Aunt Lorraine rise from her chair and cross to my side, her expression calm but unyielding. Charles Margaret, she says, addressing my parents with quiet steel. You're ruining your grandson's celebration. The air tightens, brittle and electric. Evan clears his throat. Let's all just calm down. I'm calm, I say. I'm also leaving. Owen's lower lip trembles. But you just got here? I crouch to meet his eyes. Enjoy your party, sweetheart. We'll hang out soon, just us, okay? He nods reluctantly. I turn for the door, but my father steps in front of me, blocking the way. You're not walking out on this family again. His tone is low and dangerous, an echo of the authority that once ruled my childhood. Move aside. Dad, not until you show some respect. I look straight at him, unblinking. What you're doing right now is the reason I left that restaurant. A stunned silence. Then Owen starts crying, small shoulders shaking. The sound cuts through the tension like a siren. Aunt Lorraine's voice snaps the spell. Enough, you're upsetting the child. Uncle Robert sets his drink down with a solid thunk. She's right. Let her go. Dad's final card comes quietly. If you walk out that door, don't expect to be welcomed back. For a long moment, I meet his eyes. The ultimatum is familiar, but I am not the same woman it used to control. That's your decision, not mine, I say. His expression flickers surprise. Maybe grief, and he steps aside. I walk out, back straight, each step deliberate, the air tasting sharper with freedom. At the threshold, I turn just once. I'll be at my home tomorrow, I say to the room. If anyone wants a real conversation. Then I close the door behind me, and it feels like closing a chapter. The next morning, my hands tremble as I set a vase of white hydrangeas in the center of my table. I tell myself it's nerves, not regret. At exactly 11, the doorbell rings. I open the door to find my parents, side by side like sentinels. Mom's camel coat, Dad's expression carved from stone. Come in, I say. My voice doesn't shake. They step into my loft. Mom's eyes flick over everything, the sculptural light fixture, the architectural awards, the framed magazine spread on the wall. For once, she doesn't comment. You've turned the family against us, she starts. Dad crosses his arms. Your behavior has been unacceptable. I stay standing. I didn't invite you here to scold me. We're not here to scold, Mom says, slipping into her practiced gentleness. We're here because we're worried. For years, I've accepted being treated as less because I'm not married. My achievements, my education, my business, my home, all dismissed because I don't have a ring. Dad interrupts. That's not fair. Then tell me I'm wrong, I say. Tell me when I graduated summa cum laude, you didn't say. That's nice, honey, but don't miss your chance at a family. Tell me when I bought this place, Mom, you didn't warn me about being a target living alone. Silence. Mom single quotes as chin trembles. You're twisting things. I'm describing them, I correct softly. That seating chart was just the latest version. Dad tries to reassert authority. As your father, as adults, I interrupt. We should treat each other with respect. The color drains from his face. He's not used to being interrupted. I don't need your approval to value myself, I continue. But if you want a relationship with me, it has to include respect. Mom's eyes glisten. You're breaking your father's heart? The guilt hits, familiar and sharp, but I'm ready for it. I'm sorry you feel that way, I say calmly, but manipulation won't change my boundaries. Dad leans forward, softer now. We only want what's best for you, asterisk, I decide what that is. For a heartbeat, everything stops. The noise, the defensiveness, the posturing. Just three people standing in a beautiful apartment, unsure how to move forward. What do you want from us? Mom asks at last, her voice small. It might be the first honest question she's ever asked me. Recognition, I answer. Respect. To be treated as the adult I am. We've always respected you, Dad says automatically. Then why have you never shown it? I ask quietly. When I landed the Westmore project, you skipped my launch party for Evan's kid's soccer game. When Architectural Digest featured my work, you didn't read it. Their silence is its own confession. I'm not asking you to understand my choices, I say, voice gentler now. Just to stop dismissing them. Mom looks at the framed magazine cover again, eyes softening. Your business? It's impressive. We should have said so. Dad clears his throat. That article was something to be proud of. It's not a full apology, but it's a start. Small cracks letting light through old walls. I'll attend family events when I'm treated as an equal, I say. No more children's tables. No more comments about settling down. No more pretending my life is on hold. Mom twists her hands, glancing toward the door. Will you be at Christmas? That depends, I reply. Will I be seated with the adults? Dad exhales. Of course you will. The tension doesn't vanish, but it changes shape, less a wall, more a door ajar. A space where something new might grow. I do want a relationship with you both, I say honestly, but only one built on mutual respect. They nod, uncertain, but listening. When they leave, their steps sound slower than before, as if each one is measured against a new reality. When the door clicks shut, I lean against it and finally let the tears come not of defeat, but of release. For the first time in years, I feel free. My phone vibrates a few minutes later. Aunt Lorraine, I hear they visited. Are you okay? I smile through damp lashes. Better than okay. I'm free. 6 months later, I stand at my dining table adjusting a vase of white hydrangeas, the same kind that once trembled under my shaking hands. Now, they feel like symbols steady, full blooming. The memory of that night at Aveline's no longer burns. It glows softly like a lantern lighting the path that led me here. Elena enters my loft carrying a tray of appetizers, humming to herself. Earth to Skylar, she teases, setting down the tray. The stuffed mushrooms are getting cold. I blink out of thought. Sorry, just remembering how much has changed. She studies me for a beat, then smiles. You seem lighter, happier. When I saw you pitch to that Seattle client yesterday, I swear you radiated calm authority. The guy basically signed before you finished. I laugh. Since setting boundaries, everything feels easier. Even my breathing. I sleep. I work. I don't check my phone expecting guilt trips every 5 minutes. She raises an eyebrow. Turns out peace improves productivity. Who knew? The doorbell chimes. One by one, my guests arrive, a mix of friends, colleagues, and chosen family. No judgment, no unspoken hierarchies. Just warmth. We pour wine and pass plates around my handcrafted dining table, the one I bought after landing the Palo Alto contract. The same table that once symbolized independence now stands for connection on my own terms. Later that night, after the laughter fades and the plates are cleared, I check my phone. Among casual messages sits a new one from Aunt Lorraine. Your stand has people talking. More support in your corner than you realize. Then another from Cousin Jennifer. What they did wasn't right. I admire your courage. And finally, one from Camille. I didn't understand at first, but I get it now. Coffee next week? Even Evan's tone has softened. His text about Owen's soccer match ends with, you should come by sometime, Mom and Dad have been. Quieter. It's not reconciliation, but it's progress. Gentle, cautious progress. A week later, I receive a thick, cream-colored envelope, my parents' handwriting unmistakable. Inside, you are invited to Thanksgiving dinner. Formal dinner. Adults only. Those last two words feel like a silent apology, or at least an acknowledgement. I read it twice, smiling to myself. Adults only. Finally, they've rewritten the seating chart. IRSVP the next morning. Looking forward to it. I'll stay 2 hours. It's not defiance. It's balance. A boundary shaped like peace, business thrives. The studio doubles in size, and I hire 2 junior designers, bright, creative minds who remind me of myself 10 years ago. Elena and I schedule strategy lunches instead of therapy recaps. Aunt Lorraine becomes a regular brunch companion, sharing old stories about my mother's youth, the kind that make her feel human, not mythic. Camille, and I start rebuilding something that might one day resemble friendship. She listens more now, asks about my work, and no longer lowers her voice when mentioning my single life. Owen and Riley come over on weekends for crafts and hot cocoa. Blissfully unaware of the tectonic shifts beneath the family surface, I no longer feel the need to prove anything. I no longer crave the applause I used to chase like oxygen. My achievements belong to me now, not as offerings, but as affirmations. By the time Christmas arrives, San Francisco is wrapped in fog, silver and soft around the skyline. My family has chosen a new restaurant downtown Montello's, different from Evelyn's, but similar enough to feel poetic. I arrive 15 minutes early, the hem of my forest green dress brushing my knees as the mater d' guides me to the private dining room, and there it is, the table. Long, elegant, surrounded by familiar faces. But this time, my name card sits squarely at the center between Aunt Lorraine and Uncle Robert. A simple thing, a rectangle of paper. Yet it feels like victory carved into cardstock. Mom approaches in her pearl necklace. The same one she wore that night months ago. Her voice softens. You look lovely, Skylar. When Dad's colleagues arrive, he introduces me with quiet pride. This is our daughter, the award-winning designer. Her latest project was featured in Architectural Quarterly. Not our daughter who's figuring things out. Not our decorator daughter. But the designer. The woman. The adult. It nearly takes my breath. During dessert, one of my younger employees, Jessica, leans toward me, confiding softly. My parents wanted me to be a lawyer like my sisters. They still introduce me as our artsy one, Sometimes I think they'll never understand. I smile knowingly. Your worth isn't measured by how well you fit someone else's blueprint. Build the life that makes you proud, not the one that makes them comfortable. As the plates are cleared, I take a deep breath and make an announcement I've been saving. I'm establishing a scholarship next fall, the Benjamin Thompson Foundation, for young women starting their own creative businesses. Mom looks up. Benjamin Thompson? Uncle Ben, I say softly. He always believed in me. He told me success isn't about permission, it's about persistence. Dad smiles faintly. He'd be proud of you. I hope so. I'm also opening a New York branch next year. Mom's expression wavers between pride and fear. That's quite far away. Will we still see you? Her question, though cautious, feels new asking, not assuming. Distance doesn't change love, I answer gently. But respect does. Dad nods slowly, studying me with something like understanding. You always were stubborn, he says. Then, almost tenderly, now I see its determination. When the clock nears midnight, I lift my glass. To family, I say, meeting each gaze in turn. The ones we're born to and the ones we choose. Glasses clink. Laughter rises. The moment, fragile and real, feels like a small miracle built from hard-won honesty. Later, I step onto the restaurant's terrace, the cold air crisp against my skin. The bay glimmers below, the city lights stretching endlessly. Somewhere behind me, the murmur of conversation continues, different now, softer. For your dot, I think back to that night 6 months ago. The chandeliers, the children's menu, the humiliation that felt like the end of something. I realize now it wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning, the night I stopped waiting for permission to exist on my own terms. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't confrontation or apology. It's transformation. It's living so fully, so unapologetically, that the people who underestimated you can't help but see you differently. And sometimes, if you're lucky, they learn to see you clearly at last.